help it. I hope nobody gets annoyed. I was thinking a couple of conversations this morning. Of course, conversation at those days, invariably, the thing in New York comes up, the killing in New York. And then more so comes up the fact that some people applaud the guy who killed the CEO. And everybody is surprised that happens. Everybody is surprised that people actually would applaud that. Why are you surprised? Satan is busy, guys. That's it. Let's not be surprised about it. What is happening? Why is it really happening? I'm sorry, I'm going to do that right now. But what is it really happening? You know, we used to have values in the society based on Judeo-Christian values we used to have. Western Europe had that, we had that. That didn't mean you have to be a believer, but we believed in the values, Judeo-Christian values, which of course came from you shouldn't kill, you should love your neighbor, and all those things. Now, since we left Christ behind us, we don't have the one value. We have, in America, 350 million different values. Everybody has their own values, so it's okay to kill somebody in the street because you don't like him. That's where we are. And wouldn't it be good? So and the reason I bring it up, we talked about it for a minute, and I look here, and just as you get, whoa, what is happening? I mean, this is getting worse. Then I see people coming here for a prayer breakfast, if you will, and it's encouraging. So in a way, I'm encouraged. So thank you very much for what you have done for me, encouraging. So I'm going to take off now, but I better rush because I'm supposed to speak only 2 hours. Is that correct? Yeah. So all right. So I give you my background. Obviously, I have an accent. That accent is German. I grew up in a small village in Germany. So I give you my background and tell you what we did with Ritz and so on. Everybody talks about Ritz. By the way, I created a hotel company which the last 3 years is voted #1 hotel company in the world, and it's not Ritz. I did that after Ritz, and it's called Capella. Capella is rated now consistently best in the world. Not only the company, but last year the Capella in Bali was voted #1 in the world, and the company #1. This year, the Capella Hotel in Bangkok was #1 in the world, and the company again #1. So it's the philosophy that we have applied at Ritz-Carlton works anywhere. If it is a hotel or a hardware store, it doesn't matter. And I will talk about that philosophy a little bit, but in the meantime, I give you my background because I can't very well talk about yours. So I grew up in Germany, and when I was 11 years old, I told my parents I want to work in the hotel business. They said okay, because I was 11 years old. But I kept on insisting on it. My parents were embarrassed. My grandfather was really embarrassed. But I kept on insisting, crying. So my parents looked, what should we do? So they were advised, you should, of course, start working, if he wants it so much, in the best hotel in the region, which unfortunately was nearly 100 miles away from my hometown. But we got a job there as a busboy. So my mother took me there. I meet the general manager, and he tells us right away, this place, you are here to learn how to be a servant to very fine ladies and gentlemen. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Then I met the maitre d', and he told me 2 sentences which changed my life. Now, I didn't get it when he said it. I learned it. I worked with him for 3.5 years. I slowly learned what he meant. But he said, tomorrow, that was after the general manager told me we are going to be servants to fine ladies and gentlemen. I meet a maitre d' who I report to, the head waiter. And he says, now tomorrow, show up at 7 a.m. If I meant 1 minute after 7, I would tell you so. It was clear what we say here, we mean it, we are precise, we are exact what we are doing. He said that in 1 sentence, and I learned that later, that he meant that. And then he said, and don't come to work tomorrow. Come here to create excellence in what you're doing. And that really went over my head because I knew I had to wash dishes, clean floors the next day, and so on. I worked with the guy for 3.5 years, and I got the meaning of him. Because what he meant with excellence, I wish I could apply it the way he did. But it totally changed my life. What he meant with that was very simply, don't fulfill a function. You are a human being. The chair on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function. The glass that you're using, the fork that you're using, you are a human being, and your function should be fulfilled for a higher intent. What is your high intent? And but I see all around the world is the human beings fulfilling functions without a high intent. But he made it very clear we have a high intent. We don't, for example, make it simple, his intent was not serving food and beverage. His intent was instilling well-being by doing it in the people that he had, etc. So with that equipped, I worked there 3.5 years. Before I left, he told me, look me in the eyes, promise me never to go to work. I promised him. I left there, worked in the finest hotels in Europe, and truly the finest hotel in Europe, and working as a waiter in the Savoy in London in the grill. One of the guests said, do you want to come to America? And I said, yeah. If he would have said Zimbabwe, I would have said yeah also, because I was young, I want to go somewhere. Went to the embassy, got my papers. Yes, I came very legally to the US in 1964. It was a totally different country, guys. I'm telling you that. And I remember it well because I came in new and was impacted by what I saw new. And was here for a year or two, but then stayed on here, went to learned that they have courses at Cornell in the summer. I went there for the next 7 years and so on. I started a career started off, worked for Hyatt, and got promoted and worked as a food and beverage director, as a rooms director, as a general manager, as a regional vice president, as a corporate vice president, in charge of 65 hotels for all hotels in the US. And somebody called me and said, we have 2 hotels in construction in Atlanta, and we would like somebody to operate those hotels, and you were recommended. I said, you're kidding me. You see, I'm in charge of 65 hotels. You want me to move to Atlanta for no hotels? You have no hotels, 2 in construction. You must be kidding me. And I said, but then I said, so what's your plan? What do you want to do with those 2 hotels? Well, that would be up to the operator. And the guy that I spoke with next, I knew him. I had worked for him before. And he said he was in charge of the Waffle Houses and the other stuff that they were managing and so on. And he said, Horst, that would be up to you. Okay, well, I'm not interested. But I talked to my wife, and I said, if I would take that job, here's what I would do. I will take that job, and because I look at the competition, the corporate competition, not the individual hotels, but the corporate competition in the hotel business, who were the leaders in the world, Hilton International, not Hilton Domestic, Hilton International, Hyatt, Westin, Intercontinental. And I said I would just go over them and start a new hotel company and create the finest hotel company in the world. And Sherry said, my wife, you are interested. I said, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, if I would take it. And funny enough, a few days later, they called me again. They said, something interesting happened. You were recommended first, but somebody else recommended you now. And we want to at least talk to us. So we talked. And I came here for a dream, for a purpose. For a purpose. I was driven by a purpose. Human beings need purpose. Human beings need purpose. Purpose and belonging. In fact, Aristotle said, you cannot be fulfilled unless you have purpose and belonging. The Bible said, you will perish without purpose. I saw a purpose. I saw a dream, and accept that dream. But before I did that, and I wasn't sure yet, my wife and I prayed heavy. I was pretty newly married 3 years or so. My wife tried to convince me to find a church, and we went to church once in a while. I got out in the middle of it because it did something with smoke and so on. I didn't have nothing to do with that. And I wanted a message, and we went to the next church, and I walked out again. But of course, I was an institutional Christian. I was baptized and so on as a kid. And I'm not a Baptist. I was baptized as a kid. So that's what I'm telling you. And I drink wine. So I'm sorry. But we prayed heavy. Should we move to Atlanta? And we came to Atlanta. We moved to Atlanta. I took the job to Atlanta for a dream. And we moved here. I couldn't sell my wife stayed back because she was pregnant. She wanted to have the baby with her doctor. And then she came here with a little baby. We couldn't sell our place in Chicago. I fully leveraged to buy a house here. So we were in trouble to here. And in the meantime, the company really didn't work. It really didn't work. I came here for a dream to create the finest hotel company in the world. But it really looked bad in the beginning. I can tell you that. Nobody realized it from the outside. But every day I went to work, and then about 1.5 years later, I said, this is not working. And I had to tell my wife now. I didn't want to tell her. And finally, I sat her down and said, Sherry, we have to sit down. We made a mistake moving here. And all she said, don't argue with God. I said, okay, not in front of you again, but... And then she said, and that really hit me. And then she said, hey, where is the guy with the big mouth that always says, once you have a vision, never give up on it. Focus on your purpose. I always made a speech to everybody I knew and have beaten people around the head about, don't make excuses. Focus on your purpose. Because the model of real leadership is having purpose. Without purpose, without a vision, you're not a leader. You may be working, but you're not leading. It's impossible to lead unless you have a destination in mind. It's not, the word leading means you have a destination in mind. What is the destination? I have to ask myself, what's the destination in my life, or what's the destination of my company? That's leading. So purpose is a key element. And the next thing in the model of leadership is to be committed to the purpose. And the next thing is to initiate the things that get you to the purpose. And the next thing is to keep focus on it. And that's where people break down, because they find an excuse. And that's what Sherry told me in time. You have found your excuse. You're beating everybody up to never find an excuse, yet you find, no, I said, you don't understand, this is different. Oh, that's what you keep on saying, not to make that excuse that it is different. Go and make it the finest hotel company in the world. The reason why we moved here, make it happen. Whoa. Oh, man, I didn't know she could get that tough. I said, whoa, what happened to her? But we sneaked into the kitchen and used my dial tone, telephone at the time, and called all the vice presidents. I'd be there tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And they came and showed up, and I said, okay, I'm going to close the door. We're not going to leave this room until we are very clear this will be the finest hotel company in the world. That is the vision. So we concentrated on the vision. But then we sat down and said, let's sit down. And a leader would have to do that. If our vision, and we decided what to do, what each individual would do. But then I said, now I have to sit down and spend some real time here and say, is our vision good for all concerned? Or are we just doing something for ourselves? Is it good for the investors? It has to be. And we made a T-chart, where it is good, where it's not good. And the answer was yes, it's good for the investors. And then next, is it good for the employees? And yes, it's good for the employees. And next, is it good for the customer, for the guest? Yes, it's good for the guest. And next, is it good for society as a whole? Yes, it's good for society as a whole. And then I had to go out, and I had to deal with myself and say, would God approve? And in all cases, it was yes. I didn't just say yes. I spent really time on it. I really agonized on it. And it was clear. In that moment, I was painted in a corner. I wasn't there anymore to be that people would think I'm a nice guy. It was very clear. I painted myself because I could not compromise. If I would compromise my vision, I would be going against the investors, against the employees, against the customer, against society. In fact, basically saying, God, even though you think it's good, I'm not going to do it. I find an excuse. It was over. The excuses were over. So then, of course, we have to say what we have to do. So we had the key element that we had, and that was a vision, the right vision. To be known, to be the vision was very clear. to be known as the finest hotel company in the world. And we prayed heavy on it, my wife and I particularly. We wrote a key prayer that was prayed every day. By the way, when I left 20 years later, I read that prayer to the company. Nobody believed that it was written 20 years earlier. Everybody thought it must have been written a week ago. Because what we prayed, and Sherry prayed, particularly my wife, all happened. But we also created another prayer. We identified, again, the vision was there, the commitment was there, the 20 pieces. Then we identified 20 pieces. After vision, I said it, vision, commitment, initiation of what it takes to get there. What will it take to get? What will it take to get there? What does it take for any company to become that which what your vision is? Well, we looked at it. What is it? It's what the market expects from your product. It's not what you want. It's your product, and say, what does my market or potential market would expect from this particular product? And then adjust it to the expectation of the market. Look at that very careful, and then say, and that's how a great company works. And then, of course, you create behind each of those expectations processes to deliver it, processes, systems, controls, and measurements to be sure you deliver to the market what the market expects. You get the feedback from the market, you adjust and continuously improve the processes so that the market actually gets what it wants. In our case, we say we have to come to the point where we deliver the processes in a way where our product actually is superior to the competition. We identified 20 things that we knew we had to deliver to our guest superior to the competition. We made sure that we didn't hire anymore, that we didn't offer jobs anymore. We invited them to join our dream of becoming the best in the world. What do we do really when we hire people? Let's be honest. It's not very Christian, by the way, what we do. We hire people to fulfill a certain function. Aha, I was there already. The chair on which you're sitting is also fulfilling a function, but we're dealing with human beings. So we hire those human beings to be part of our company. Wait a minute. Yes, Aristotle said, to be fulfilled, you need purpose and belonging, being purpose. So we ask them, we tell them right away as we interview them, don't join us for a job, join us for our dream, for a purpose. And of course, here's the value that you get out of that purpose. But particularly with millennials, you have to tell them why you get, because the millennials, many out here, they say, what's in it for me? Well, tell them. Tell them. We will be the best in the world. Join us. And here's what's in it for you, because that gives you opportunity, recognition, honor, and everything. And that is, well, Christians, is that Christian? Yes. Well, the Bible said you should give purpose belong. Why wouldn't we give purpose to the people who are our neighbors, or are our employees not our neighbors? It's fascinating. I said in boards and so on. Suddenly, with Christians, suddenly the customer is a customer, and always think about a product to them, and the employee is somebody who fulfills a function. I submit to you, the customer is a neighbor, and the employee is a neighbor. And what did Christ say? Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, that's a little bit difficult as yourself, but at least you should love them. At least we have the employees who are our very close neighbor. I invite them to join and be part of creating something of value. I had no choice. I couldn't compromise it. I wasn't there anymore to be a nice guy. I had to make it because I knew it would be good for them. So we tell the millennials today when I work with a number of companies, consulting and so on a board, tell them, join us for that. And if we accomplish this, here's how you will benefit as a human being. You will be recognition. You will define yourself as a person of excellence because we are excellence and so on. Today, an employee from Ritz-Carlton, if they look for a job and the 100 others, the employee from Ritz-Carlton, the former employee gets it. Because the image that was created, we've defined the organization as people of excellence. And so that's what we invite people into. We don't invite them to do a job. But of course, we tell them the job has to be done. But that's not why you're coming here. You're coming here to be part of creating the finest in the world. Do you like that? The answer is always yes. And then, of course, the first day of work. That's another thing. Christian leaders. What happens the first day of work? Everywhere. I have worked with many, many companies. Okay, don't be insulted if it's different with you. That you're the exception, I'm telling you. The first day of work, what happens? You're given the new worker, you give him the rules and regulation of the company. Here are the rules and regulation. Here's the handbook, and there's the insurance stuff, and there's some legal stuff, and there's all kind of paperwork. You pump it down, you get a bit and done. And when you're finally finished with that, the manager makes his pathetic team speech. We're a team here. Yeah, sure. Without giving an objective. What is a team? A team is a group of people who have a common objective. Well, we always thought we're a team without objective. And then it happens everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. Bill, the new waiter, is here. But when we're finished with our team speech, we said, Bill, work with Fred. He knows the ropes. Suddenly you're in the rope business for some reason. And we turn, hey, they're all men in here. Okay, so, can say it. So we turn over Bill, the new waiter, to Fred. And on the way to the kitchen, Fred tells Bill, this company sucks. That's his orientation. And then we have all kind of expectations. Now, let's put that into Christian values. They're none there suddenly. They're none there. How about welcome them as human beings and tell them, here's our values. Here's what we believe in. And it so happen that Judeo-Christian driven. We believe in respecting each other, helping each other, honoring each other. How about telling them, here's our dream. Again, I want to remind you, here's our dream. The first day in Ritz-Carlton and Capella hotels, I did the orientation in every hotel around the world. I went and opened every single hotel around. Usually the CEO goes there to drink champagne. Well, I did a little bit of that too, but I was there to train the people, orient the people, tell them, here's who we are. I love you all because we're working together. We're part of something. We're doing something together. And here's where we're going to go. And here's how you will benefit if you do it. And I let them all know that I'm a Christian, even when I was in countries where I'm not allowed to do that. Yes, we were around the corner. We were on five continents. I was in the Muslim countries, and where you're not allowed to do that. But then I said, you can call me whenever you want to. I had all the people in the room for orientation. You can call me. If your manager doesn't help me, you can call me. But not on Friday mornings, because that's when I go to Bible class. I can let them know who I am, and let them sure that it is an example. We developed the 20 things that we knew will make us superior according to the market. And we shared those 20 things. The second day they came to work with everybody, and then we repeated one of those things every day. But we also gave everybody a choice to take part of the 20 prayers that we had. I still have the prayer book. There were also 20 prayers. So that very clearly expressed who we are. So things went well. Things went great with the company. We opened up. We finally went great. We were recognized as best. I was applauded. Everything was great. Everything was wonderful. And then I had a checkup, and I was told you have cancer. In fact, you have only 10 months. And I said, they're better doctors than Piedmont, so I'm going to go to Mayo Clinic and let them correct this stupid opinion about the 10 months. And they said, you have 10 months to a year. I said, I knew they were. Rochester is a strange place. Who expects a good doctor in Rochester? I'm going to go to Houston. I'm going to Houston, MD Anderson. They said the same thing. And then I went and said, okay, I'm going to go to Harvard. Dana-Farber. And they told me the same thing. I can tell you, all of a sudden, the glory being applauded. Here comes the president, the founder of Ritz-Carlton, and people applauded. It all had no more meaning. And suddenly, the stuff, the egos and the insecurities and everything was gone. The world was gone. And there was room suddenly for Jesus. There he was. Because that keeps us. If you haven't let him in, I tell you something. Hey, don't be mad with me. I know it. I tell you from my experience. It's just because you have too much of the world around you. That's why you haven't let him in. Why would you not let him in? And there's a friend with whom I nearly said with whom I run a lot. No, I used to run a lot, okay? Now I walk with him. So in Germany, Stefan, a great guy, wonderful guy, a real proud atheist, but a great guy, truly. And he always likes to argue with me the thing about Jesus or not. And that time we went for a long walk. We went through the forest and we came for an hour. Half later, he hasn't argued yet with me. I said, great, he didn't bring it up this time. And then he said, well, Horst, I have to stop for a moment. I was just thinking you with your Jesus. I mean, how can you, as an intelligent guy, nobody can prove that there is God. I said, that's an interesting statement. Nobody can prove that there isn't. So with other words, it's a choice. Like everything else in life, our destiny depends on the decisions we have made, including the destiny of eternity. It's a decision we have had. But I said, it's absolutely unbelievable for me. Now, bear with me here for a moment, because it's really unbelievable to me. It is impossible that Satan is not involved here somehow. It's impossible. If you let the amount go through, I can prove it to you. There are two gifts. There's one on here, on this side, and there's one here side. And they look pretty similar. And they say that the one on the left, my left, you're right. They said that gift has absolutely nothing, but maybe something very terrible. And this one over here has probably absolutely nothing, but maybe something really great. Choose your gift. Now, there's nobody in the right mind would choose this one on the left. Nobody. So why do people choose it? Only possible if something evil puts it in their mind to pick it. That's the only way. That's the only way it's possible. That became clear to me. That became so clear to me because I was now thinking about it and making decisions about it because the stuff was gone. I had to make a decision. And the decision was I'm going to trust God. At my operation, I was told to go chemo. I said, no chemo. But I want to do something. And it was too long a story and only give me a message. Give me a message over here how much longer I have sometime here over here. 5 more, so on. You guys, message, okay? Give me. So I knew, guys, I knew I have to do something. And I knew that God expects me to do something. And chemo didn't want to do. And so I looked for different diets. And it was too long, but very clearly, if you want to know, I will tell you. It was through God's interference. A diet came to me. It was a macrobiotic diet. I went under that macrobiotic diet. Everybody said you're going to die. And the guy by the name of Kushio was the guru of macrobiotic in the world. He was over 80 at the time. That's 30 years ago, by the way. All that. And that guru said to me, if you're going to diet for a year, the cancer will be gone. So people tell me you were very courageous. Well, I rather went with the guy who said you're going to live than with the guys who said you're not going to live. So I went with him and went on a diet, 100%. It was, believe you me, it was difficult. It was difficult. But 1 year, 100%, my wife and children went on the diet when I was here with me. They never ate anything unless when I was gone. They had their normal meals or so on. But when I was here, they ate with me, they helped me, and all my chefs learned how to cook the food. And so I went around the world traveling, but I still had it, and followed that. And a year later, he said, if we do it one more year, it will never come back. In the meantime, of course, we were working. We were growing the company. We were opening hotels. We were successful, extremely successful. However, I went back into the whole thing of work, traveling 250 days a year. My wife finally convinced me, it's enough. You have to retire. But 2 years went by, there was no more cancer, no cancer. And now you get courageous again. And so, and that's why the traveling was going on again. But my wife convinced me to retire. And sure enough, I told them, and I had a contract. Meantime, the company had sold. I had a contract for 5 years to stay. The 5 years were over. They allowed me to get out. And I went home on a Monday. On a Friday, my wife picked me up. The kids picked me up with the files. We took the last files and then talked and have a glass of champagne in the office and said goodbye and cried. I went home. And on a Friday, I went to my wife and said, I'm going to do it one more time. That really pissed her off. I mean, really. Oh, was she? I never seen her that mad. Anyway, how dare you come to him now you want to do it again for your own glory and so on and so on. And I realized, yeah, this is outrageous. And I said, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. But a few days later, Thursday, she came to me and said, that's who you are, and I'm supporting you. Do it. But don't come to the point of traveling 200 days a year or plus. But do it right. So we started Capella, which I told you is now rated the #1 hotel company. And what did we do there? What did we do different? Well, we studied this particular market, this very top market. We looked with focus groups with the people that you stay in suites in Four Seasons, in Peninsula, who use all the key hotels in the world and study what they really want. What do they really expect in an ideal hotel stay? And then we create processes around it. Now, we couldn't do a hotel anymore like a Ritz-Carlton. We could only do up to 100 rooms because we knew we had to offer no check-in time, no check-out time. We had to call the reservation beforehand and say, what do you want when you come to Singapore, and so on, and so on. So we created this company very slowly. But what did we do there too? The key thing we did, we identified those 20 things, but we also identified 20 prayers. And any employee was offered, if you want to be part of the prayer, you can be, you don't have to be. Every day, there's a specific prayer prayed. Every day we discuss, no employee can go to work without discussing the service element, one of the 20 service elements of the day. They're selected right, they're oriented right, and they're being taught right, and they're now being reminded every day of the key service element. Today it may be number 12. If a guest asks for direction, don't point, take him there. And we teach them how to have conversation with the guest. And tomorrow it may be point number 16. If you come across a guest, anytime, no matter what you're doing, within 10 feet, you look them in the eyes and say, good morning, welcome. Don't say hi, because if I'm saying hi, I'm saying we're equal. But if I'm saying, welcome, good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am, I'm saying I respect you. At the same time, I'm saying I'm professional. You can trust me. That's what our mantra was. We understood the customer expects 3 things. We started that. This was started, by the way, in all cultures around the world, that the fundamental expectation of the customer are 3 things. That's what you expect when you buy anything. Number 1, they want the product to be defect-free. You have to clean the damn room, that's what I meant with that. It has to be defect-free, the product, no matter what it is. Number 2, timeliness. It's extremely important. That's what you expect. If you buy anything at all, buy a bottle of water. What do you expect? You don't want anything to swim in there. It has to be defect-free. Number 2, you want it when you want it. And number 3, you want the people who give it to you to be nice to you. And guess what is the driver of customer loyalty? The product? It's not. It's the relationship. Do we manage that? No. We manage the product, we don't manage the relationship. That's the point. And a recent survey, if you haven't seen that survey, you better know it. Of any business, any purchase, American buyer, American Express made that study. The American buyer, purchaser, it doesn't matter what they purchase. If it is a legal service or a bottle of water or a car or a radio, it doesn't matter. The expectation is, they say, I will buy from you if you are nice to me. Even if I could buy the same product next door for less. 80% say that. What are they really saying? What is that study really saying? They're saying, if you're nice to me, I will trust you and deal with you. You see, that's what they want to accomplish. People talk about customer satisfaction and all that things, but they're satisfied. Next door is a better deal, that's where they go. But they're loyal if they know they can trust you. And that trust is accomplished by having the right relationship with you. And who has that relation? Me in my office in Atlanta? I have to make sure my guy, my doorman in Shanghai is nice. And my busboy in Berlin, and the maid in Singapore, and so on. I have to make sure. So we have to make sure our process of employee, I started there, selection is right, the orientation is right, the training is right, and the sustaining what we teach by repeating what we taught in the beginning, and make sure that this part was right. And that is the success of them. That's what I'm doing with a number of companies. I work with a bank. When we started, it was a nothing bank. It was just voted best mid-sized bank now. And said, all we do, this simplicity of understanding the market and respecting. And wouldn't that respect to the market, because they are human being, the market. We think that the market is just something. The people, no, a human being. Say it one more time. They're your neighbors. Wouldn't we do our very best to truly take care of our neighbors? And one more time, wouldn't we truly make sure that we would do our very best that our other neighbor, the employee, is totally aligned to this customer and wants to do the job? Create management again. Create management creates the process, the system, the controls to make sure you're giving the market what the market expects from your product. Create leadership. Creates an environment where the employees want to do it because they feel part of it. So that's what we concentrated on, the whole organization. That's all. That's why we're successful. And look here, I can give you a number of companies that would. The president of that bank just was interviewed by Forbes magazine and said, "We thank Horst for the success that we're having." I didn't do anything. I'm just saying, let's concentrate on our customer, what our customer expects. So first they said, just to answer that question because that comes up in the room, I'm sure. First they said, well, what about most of the thing is online banking. Well, okay. Be sure that in that online banking, for somehow you tell the customer, we care for you. That you say it better in your online banking than your competition does. So whatever you're doing, whenever you communicate, no matter how you communicate with the customer, tell them we care. And we honor you. You're not just a piece of money. We honor you. Like my Maitre D', that's how it started. He wasn't there to serve food so he could give him a check afterwards. He was there to instill well-being. And by the way, he was a Christian. So driven by that, as Christians and thinkers, we have to understand the people that we work with, truly align the people, make sure, respect them, that they're part of the organization. Being part is a deep belonging of every human being. Simple as that. be sure that they have purpose, which is a deep, deep belonging and not just function. So I, for one, wish you good luck with it, and I'm happy to answer any question if there's time for that. Thank you very much, everybody. The man made this name was Carl Zeitler. He was, at the time, he was in the high 70s, spoke 7 languages, some of them absolutely fluent. And in fact, when he said, and the funny thing is, when he said in that morning, and tomorrow come to work to be excellence, he said the word excellence in English. He used always the word excellence. You know, and it caused the question, darn it, I could have a table over there. You walked in here, you knew that my fork wasn't totally straight away. I don't know how. But when they come out there and said, do you think this is excellent? That was kind of the communication was constantly around excellence. And so you can't help it. And I wrote an essay at the time. After going once a week to hotel school, typical German, once a week hotel school, in the evening work again, I see, be with me for a minute here. I see the melody that evening. Mind you, the mantra from the general managers was, we are servants to important ladies and gentlemen. And that evening, I see the melody approaching a table here, and I saw it before, but it never hit me, never put it so in my mind, I never interpreted. The people on that table were proud that he came to them. And I said, wow, wait a minute, that's a reversal. We are the servants. And that night, I wrote my essay that I was supposed to write for the school, and I wrote about it. And 2 things happened that evening. First, I wrote that essay, named the essay, We Are Ladies and Gentlemen. We are not servants. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen, but we are not servants, which I made the motto of Ritz-Carlton, became in our business world, no. But I said, but that put my light went off, and I realized that evening, it was an important moment. I define myself. No matter what, even if I'm a dishwasher, the reason why the people were proud, because he was known as an outstanding gentleman. That's why they were proud. He had defined himself as somebody very special. So I realized, even if I was a dishwasher the rest of my life, I still can define myself as a fine gentleman. And that's why when I hear the whining of our society, everybody claims somebody is their fault, and them and men, and I cannot because of that, and different groups blaming at different things and different individuals. What is this? You are responsible. In fact, it's your decision who define your destiny. And that was clear that night. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Because there was only one question because the answer was too long. Thank you.